that he couldn't be here. He apparently had some kind of disclosure conflict or something on his product. But walking in this morning, I happened to have a conversation with somebody that we all know, love, and does a great job with us. And our own Erik Decker just published a new book that's out on Amazon. And it all addresses something that we all need help with, which is personal branding. So with that, I want to introduce you to Erik Deckers.
All right. Hey, how are you? Next slide. See if yep, there we go. So yeah, how many of you know Robert Bagley? Just this is surprising that only a few of you know Robert Bagley, because as far as I'm concerned, that guy knows everybody, and I know a lot of people. But Robert and I met last year. Chauncey Jennings, the guy who wrote our foreword, was hosting an event at, what is it, the Z Clubhouse or something, and Z Co-Space. And I was sitting next to Robert. We were on a panel discussion, and we talked about books we had written, sharing with the audience, and he said to me afterward, we should write a book. Well, I get this a lot. You know, it's like, hey, let's write a book and we'll split the profits. My answer is always no, because there are never enough profits. And I can tell you this because of my own books. There are never profits. You don't split anything. But he said, yeah, we could do something on the 10 Commandments of personal branding. And he explained the system that he had, because he does make money on his books. And I said, yes, please. And so we would meet every 3 or 4 weeks at the Lazy Moon Pizza on University. I've got my own table there. I go so much. And we would just talk for about 2 hours. And I would record that and turn that into one of the chapters. And we just wrote the book that way. And then we would send chapters back and forth, and we need to add this, take this out, move this to this chapter, and things like that. And after, I think, about 9 months after we started the process, it was finished. And then I had to go through typography and page layout, and that only took a month. And here we are. It's available on Kindle, paperback and hardback. It's $8, $15, $23 if you want a hardback. So the launch was technically yesterday, but we're doing something at the Citrus Club in October. There's a whole authors thing. There's 4 authors at the Citrus Club who all had books come out at the same time. Robert and I make half of that. And I think it's October 9th that we are doing something. So even if you're not a member of the club, you're still invited. So just kind of ask me for details and I'll share those. But I guess what I can tell you is, or encourage you to think about, is what is personal branding? Some of you may know I wrote a book years ago called Branding Yourself: How to Use Social Media to Invent or Reinvent Yourself. And this was the second book on personal branding and social media ever written. And I wrote that with a friend of mine. I had helped him write Twitter Marketing for Dummies the year before. And we said, that was fun. Let's do that again. And so we wrote that book. And I've always been a big advocate for people understanding their own personal brand, especially creative professionals. We are bad at that. I am bad at that. I wrote books on how to do that, but like when I go speak at these events to talk about it, I forget to take the books with me. I think, I don't want to do Twitter today, and just so. But one of the things that I always tell people about your personal brand is that it's an emotional response. It's not logos and colors and taglines. It's the emotional response that people have when they see you coming or see you going. And I call it the oh good and oh shit response. Because they say one of those things when you are coming, and they say the other thing when you are going. And which one they say at which time depends entirely on you. So your personal brand is your reputation. It's what people think about you. It's what people talk about you when you're not around, because they do talk about you. And your name comes up in conversation and people say, oh yeah, you totally need to talk to them about this, or no, just don't waste your time, right? And so that's your personal brand. And we live our brand, we show our brand, basically just by being who we are, talking about the things that we're passionate about, and essentially not being a jerk. That's a big part of it. Just don't be a jerk to people. And you would think we wouldn't have to write books about this, but they wrote one 2,000 years ago that kind of covered this, but no, people are still jerks. And so we're still writing books about it. But if you can be nice to people, if you can help people, if you can introduce them to other people, make referrals, and live the thing that you love. Carlos, if you are always going out and talking to people about gastrointestinal health and your platform, you might think people are getting tired of this. But you're not talking to everybody about it all the time. We are not all hearing this conversation all the time. You're talking to me today, you're talking to Jane tomorrow. You've talked about it twice. I've only heard it once, Jane has only heard it once. So if you can talk about it and just be helpful to people about it and not be a jerk about it, people will know this is what Carlos does. I do things like this, and I talk about and do writing, and I run a writing group, and people ask me questions about writing, and I'm always reading something, and I'm always talking about writing, and people know what I do. That's my brand. And so for you, if you are looking to develop your brand, or you're changing direction, or you think, I don't think enough people know about me, or I want to grow my business by getting people to know me and not my product, this is the book to help you do that. So $8 on Kindle, $14.99, $15 on paperback, and $23 on hardcover. It is available on Amazon, and if you get a copy and you bring it next week, I will be happy to sign it for you. So, Colin.
Oh, will this be on Audible?
In September.
September. Hoopla as well, like the library?
That will depend on the libraries picking it up, but yes, that's one thing that we plan on doing, is talking to libraries and asking them. Jane, and then you.
Well, the question regarding the library, so if you go to our website, the ocls.org, and you have a library card, if there's a book that's not in our collection that you think we should buy, you click suggest a title and tell them what book it is, and then our collection development department will consider it. And the more requests we get, we're very democratic, the more likely, in good reviews, the more likely we'll add it to our collection, and then we'll deliver it to your home at no cost with your library card.
Oh, excellent.
Also, who took your great photo?
That, Shannon Scott. Does anybody remember the woman who came in here and talked about the green room, and she had that acting?
Yes.
So, her. She is also a professional headshot photographer. So that was actually a backdrop, one of those little fold-up backdrops in front of the front door of my house, outside. So you had a question.
Yeah, so I actually have a question. So it's a hot topic right now.
It's the AC, it's not working.
But you talked about logos, and that's a hot topic right now, as we know, with Cracker Barrel. Why do companies continue to keep getting logos that they think the logo is everything and not the actual environment like you talked about, and the emotion that they feel?
I think it is always down to new management. And this is true for a lot of departments anywhere. I mean, when I worked for the state health department, we had a new health commissioner, and she brought in new people, and they thought, I have to make a change to make my mark on this organization, and they will fire people, right? So you get somebody who says, I have to, as the new VP of marketing, I have to make my stamp, and we're going to change the logo, because I'm bold and visionary. And then they are gone in 2 years, and somebody else comes in and says, you know what, I'm bold and visionary too. We have to change my logo. And that's a big reason why that happens. The smart companies are the ones usually privately owned, who the owner, or if it's old enough, the owner's grandson says, nope, we're sticking with tradition. This is the logo we've always had. We're never changing. So I think that's a big reason why. All
Let me
right.
switch it.
Oh, okay.
Erik, I always enjoyed your presentations and leadership as well when you were at 1 Million Cups board. Well, my question is, you just said that you sell through emotions, right? So you just sold your brand through emotions. You made yourself likable through humor. I think everyone would agree. And if you could share your, what you call, techniques in terms of, in that, because we don't see much people who are doing that. And I think it's really helpful, you know, to...
How to be funny? No, seriously, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah.
I can go for an hour on that. I have a presentation that I give to writing groups on how to be funny. The top 3 secrets are surprise. If I do something or say something unexpected, you get surprised by that and you go, oh, that's funny. So a great example is when Henny Youngman said, take my wife, please. When he started saying that, our brains went one direction. He was saying, take my wife, for example. And in our heads, we fill in, for example. He's going to say, for example. But he said, please. And so instead of us asking to consider his wife, he asked us to take her off his hands. And that was a big surprise, and that makes people laugh. So just that violation, it's called expectation violation theory. And just doing that surprises people. And a lot of times I do this because I say the first thing that pops into my head. And we all have this filter where it gets really strong as we grow up that says, don't say that, that would be inappropriate. I turn that filter off. So if you ever see me at a funeral sitting in the back just laughing uncontrollably, it's because I leaned over and I said something to my wife that I should not have said, and she thought it was hilarious, and so we're just laughing like maniacs. So that's number 1. Number 2 is sort of the other side of that coin is recognition. When we hear something that we were thinking and it popped up, and we're surprised by that, but the recognition of going, oh, I was just thinking that. And that makes us laugh. It's sort of a reward because it's, you know, to ourselves that I'm clever too. This thing that the comic said, I said. This thing that the TV show did, I was thinking. And so we get the recognition, which surprises us, and we laugh at that. So inside jokes work this way. You know, that you had to be there kind of thing. That's recognition, even when it's a callback to something that got said earlier. I actually had something I was going to say based on what you said at the beginning. What was it? Oh, National Why Not Day?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best reason to buy the book. It's National Why Not Day. Why not buy it? So that's, you know, had I not blown that by explaining it, that would have been funny because it would have called back and you all would have said, oh, that thing that Jim said earlier, he said that again. And then the third one is just incongruity, something that's weird and unexpected. You know, if a kitten. Yeah, no, but yeah, when you just burst out and say kitten, that's, you know, that's a surprise, but it's so incongruous or out of the ordinary that we laugh at that. And so, and sort of the exaggeration of it. So there's a tweet that I often share. It's, I knew a guy whose van, who was so creepy, his van had a basement. Now, when I use that example, I always ask people, what color is the van?
White.
White. Windows or no windows?
No windows.
Whose basement?
Dahmer's.
Dahmer's or the one from Silence of the Lambs?
Hector.
Hannibal Lecter. Yeah, and Buffalo Bob. And so when I give that example to people, they all think white windowless van with Buffalo Bob's basement. And so that's a great way to create visual imagery without having to explain everything, because we all know what that looks like. But that incongruity and that exaggeration is another way to get laughs. And so those are kind of going back to your question, those are the three tools that I use the most. Just turn off that filter, say things that people are already going to understand, and say things that are exaggerated and unexpected.
You know, it's funny when you said, Henny Youngman, take my wife, please. This whole thing of Rodney starts flashing through my head. Just all of the stuff with Rodney Dangerfield. Okay, one last question.
Yes, Erik, what is your background? What made you start writing books? What, especially because you said, well, there's not a lot of profit there. So, but I do get the fact that we sometimes do things not for the sake of the profit, but just for the sake that, hey, I'm helping someone, and or it is fun for me. It is a way for me to, it's an outlet for being creative. But just everything that you spoke so far makes me question, hey, yeah, that's an interesting question. What started you on this path?
I mentioned my co-author from Branding Yourself when we did Twitter Marketing for Dummies. I was the ghostwriter for half that book. And he came to me and said, hey, would you help me edit this? And I said, sure. He said, I'll have the first 4 chapters done this weekend. Neither of us had written a book before, so that seemed doable. And then he realized 1 chapter takes a couple of weeks. And the book was due in a month. This is Dummies. It was a Dummies book. And the Dummies office is actually based in Indianapolis. And so I said, sure, give me what you got on Monday, and I will edit those really fast, because I know you've got a month to do this. And he comes to me that Thursday and said, man, this is hard. I will give you half my advance if you just write half this book with me. And I said, I'll take 25% off if you get my name on the book. And he couldn't do it. So I ghosted half. Actually, I ghosted 1 chapter more than half. And it was easy-ish, because I would get up at 6:30 in the morning. I would go to work, which was my new company. And then I'd come home, I'd take a nap on the couch, and about 8 o'clock I'd start writing until about 2 in the morning, when I was falling asleep at my computer doing this. And then when the sentence in my brain would run out, I'd wake up and I'd type again and fall asleep again. And after 3 times of that, it was time to go to bed. It was about 2:30, I'd go get 6:30. And when I was done with all of this, and it was hard, but I said, well, that was easy. Because I've been a writer for so long, and just the act of putting words together is fairly easy, but creating a book was a lot more difficult than I expected. But Kyle and I had such a good time, we said, let's do this again, only this time I get my name on the cover. And so we wrote Branding Yourself, and we worked with a Pearson imprint, also in Indianapolis. And then I went to another friend the next year and said, hey, let's write a book. And so he and I wrote No Bullshit Social Media together. And from then on, I realized book writing is not that hard. I mean, if anybody ever managed big projects that take many, many months, and you write reports about it, that's basically what I was doing. I was just writing 5,000 word reports every week for several months. And so I got into that, and then other people said, hey, would you help me? And I said, sure. Do you have money? And they said, sure. And so now I am a ghostwriter, and I write other people's books. And because I've built the process and I know how the process goes, I can turn out somebody's book with their help in about 9 months. And then on the weekends, for fun, I write more books. So I wrote my first novel in 2019. My second novel is coming out this December. I'll tell you this, it's called Whither Utopia, W-H-I, Whither Utopia. And it's available for pre-order, but there's a glitch in the system and they're shipping copies now. So if you pre-order the paperback, it's supposed to arrive in December. It's going now. So don't tell anybody. But I started working on my third novel 2 months ago. And because it's just what I know how to do, and it's just what I'm good at. And I'm otherwise unemployable.
Just like some of us.
No
Thank you.
skills. No, I think I may go and be an executive or something.
Thank you for that, Eric.
you.
That's a great job. So make sure you order his book, bring it in for a signed copy, give him great reviews on social media and wherever, Amazon, wherever you do, and make sure you get with Jane to bombard the library to get that book so we can get it on Hoopla. All right? Eric, that was great stuff. Thanks.
Thank you.
These are some of our sponsors that are here. Donut Central covers our donuts. I mentioned Pete earlier. OMG Labs, Innovate Orlando, and the Incubator Program. We're in the Tech Hub. And Future Funders is a small funding group to work with startups. Kirkendall Insurance, we have a guest appearance. Jessica.
No, it's been a while.
Are you married yet?
In October.
See? Getting ready for a wedding. That's great stuff. Driven Digital with Tim. Orlandopreneur is Rupert. John Swanson with the Real Estate Detective. Stoic Dan helps us with some of our social media marketing. And then myself, the LFAT Agency with Legal Shield Business Solutions. We meet every Wednesday and all across the country in your time zone. 8:30 till 9 is networking, 9 till 10 is the program. These are our organizers. If you're an organizer and you have any questions, come see one of us. We're happy to help answer your questions. Connect with somebody after. You follow the mission. Go meet somebody. Get to have a new friend and find out what they do. See how you might be able to help each other. Because remember, we're entrepreneurs. We're in different business, but we all have the same problems. Okay? It's just the way it is. It's like being a parent. I don't understand why my daughter does this. I've got to be the only person that this happens to. And then you go talk to somebody and they go, well, you know, girls like, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I had that problem. So you realize you're not alone. Okay? So attend the event, apply to share what you're doing. We'll help you with the preparation, run through your process, make sure it meets the criteria and timing, and then come present. Share with us so you can get that information out there. And why do you want to present? Well, you have marketing and brand awareness. It exposes you to us, but also via social media through YouTube. We've got a great YouTube channel. You can go back and see people that have presented here. We provide practice and feedback for you so that you can grow, which is what this is all about. That's what you want to do. Don't be afraid to fail, okay? Failure is part of the growing process. Create strategic partnerships. That's something I think people forget about. When we go meet somebody, it's like, I got to sell you what I've got. No, you need to know what they're doing, and you need to know who they know, right? Strategic partnership. Hiring and retaining talent, and get some great networking experience. If you want to present, go to this website here and put in, you'll see up in the top right-hand corner, present. You sign up to present. We get a notice of that, and then we'll reach out to you, send you an email with a rubric. We'll schedule a day, and we'll help you go through that and make sure everything is what you want to have on there. And then I'm going to just share this with you. You know, we've talked about free will workshops or Make a Will Month. I'm actually doing a will workshop on Saturday from 3 to 3:45. It's free, it's online, there's no cost, and you'll actually get a free will workbook that'll give you all the information and things that you need to put together those essential documents. You know, a lot of times I get young adults that are single that go, well, I don't have anything. Well, guess what? You may not have anything, but can you predict when something's going to happen that you have to end up in the hospital? I can tell you when I was in college, I was just before midterms, I ended up in the OR, I had a ruptured appendix. I was 18, I'm mom and dad's little baby, but guess what? They couldn't get one iota speck of information because I was legally an adult. And most hospitals today are requiring you to have those documents if you're going to have to go in for an operation. So it's in your best interest to have them done, okay? And we'll walk you through a whole process and show you how you can do that, all right? So that's it. If you didn't get a chance to sign in, scan the code there, make sure they know that you're here. And I want to thank you all for coming, and have yourself a great and productive week. Go grow your business. John. Yeah, right there.
To do what?
They don't stay in my parking for longer than 10, 20. I was so
Oh.
to like, talk, run.
Yeah.
But I also have a meeting. Congrats on the new book.
Thank you very much.
I'm gonna send this to the group.
Okay,
So whoever wants.
a bunch of stuff coming up already, so I don't know what our like available is. You know, kicking out a campaign. We're trying to get out of the building.
Yeah. Where are you guys moving to?
Nothing set in stone. A couple different places, like Creative Village is a top job. But honestly, it's not my need to know until they tell me to pack my stuff and where we're going. So
Okay.
I try to stay out of it. So. But I think the last time they were talking about like UCF downtown at one point. I just don't know where it officially is. It'll be several months. I think we're announcing our official